Yo, Inca, you want to come out here?
All right, so I'm participating in another league, but this is a tournament style league called Thrifty Tussle. It is being done by the Game Room, a server in which I am modding in, and is run by my good friend of the channel, front office executive, my brother in Christ, Patrick Matrick, the first and the only. Doubles, and it's going to be in the Series 10 format. And yeah, really that's it. That's all you really got to know. We're doing a bunch of tournaments as a Sword and Shield farewell as Scarlet and Violet is approaching. My team can be seen here. We have a bunch of nice coaches as well. Mine's right here. So we're going to talk about my team, and then since this is just the beginning video, you will get a feature-length film of my matches. Now, of course, this does mean if I lose in the first round, then as you might understand, then this will be the only video, or the only, like, I'll only be showing off my first round matchup, but never count Incog out. So let's talk about the team first, shall we? Driftblim, Pincurchin, Rabombi, Slurpuff, Golurk, Fletchinder, Galarian Mr. Mime, Girder, and Lit. Team that looks okay on paper, but maybe it'll work better in game. And at the same time, I think somebody was just like ranking them based on the Pokemon purely, maybe. I don't actually know. I was like 8th or 7th out of all the teams. I don't take too much offense to that, as a lot of my teams in the past have been doubted. So I understand and I agree, because my team doesn't look the scariest. Then you think about it. Iron Giant, very nice base 124 attack stat. I have a speed swapping Pokemon in Rabombi. I have Tailwind support. I also have Fake Out support. And on top of which, I also have another Tailwind supporter in Driftblim, Electric Terrain, to make sure Driftblim always gets its Unburden going. And you pretty much get the picture. This team, while it doesn't look like it'll exactly maybe win, it definitely looks threatening on paper. Golurk, or aka Iron Giant here, gets great attacking moves and good enough support moves, I'll argue. And definitely is a nice little Pokemon that you probably wouldn't think about when it comes to VGC, but I picked a really good physically offensive Pokemon to pair with Beezus, mostly for speed swap shenanigans, and among anything else, putting up Tailwind with Driftblim or Rabombi, or really Fletchinder. We also have the Pincurchin Driftblim Slurpuff core, excuse me. Being able to have one of them unburden and basically do whatever they want afterwards is very, very important. However, it is stated can't run similar items. So one of them has to have an electric seed, the other one can't. So it's kind of like if I make it further, at least I have Shenanigans going on my side, but you can obviously see where I'm going with this. Each of them still have roles outside of being unburdened Pokemon. Good night, Tori. Each of them have roles outside of being unburdened Pokemon, as well as being Pokemon that could definitely be good supporting Pokemon. Outlet switching Driftblim, Sweetvale Slurpuff, among other things, as well as having screens, yawn, and just in general being a really good Pokemon, is definitely still a Pokemon that you have to look out for. Driftblim has Tailwind, Ally Switch, and among other things, Icy Wind support, and still, like I mentioned earlier, Tailwind support, as well as being able to be bulky with Stockpile right here. Not my favorite move to run, but hey, you never know. Now, outside of these top 6, since we're going to talk about Fletchinder now, my last 3 Pokemon, you know, you really don't know what you're going to get with them, but we'll talk about them in a minute. Pekchamp is just basically Talonflame, but smaller. So we get off Tailwinds. We can also get off Will-O-Wisp. We can also just be, in general, just be a good Heat Wave abuser, and also a really decent Fire type, as well as a fast-ish Taunter. Not the greatest Pokemon in the world, not going to lie, but also you never know what you can get out of Pokemon that you barely use. I don't use Fletchinder that much. No Miser, excuse me. Screen Cleaner is the only real ability I'd really be running on this. But just like regular Mr. Mime, it's a good support Pokemon all around. Doesn't have the Fairy typing, but it has the Ice typing instead. So still same-ish weaknesses, if not more. And definitely a Pokemon that I'll probably be running a lot of Eviolite sets on if I don't use Veined, who's really just here because of the same reason Golurk's here, but also like Girder hits really hard, but also I need a Pokemon that got Wide Guard in the various cases that I'd be fighting teams that have that ability. Water Spout Jellicent, Rock Slider Dactyl, Discharge Venetric, Maybe Snarls from Zoroark, maybe just Dazzling Gleams in general, Surf or like Muddy Waters and stuff. Surf, you know, Icy Winds, other moves, etc, etc. There's a lot of moves that can be used that I can block with said Wide Guard. I definitely need a Pokemon with that, so Girder came to mind first when I was looking at my points. He's also a decent Pokemon, gets Rock Slide, can definitely be a Pokemon that can win the day if given some boost, or if you can't kill it. That's also a really good one. Litten's kind of just here for the ride. It's not here for a long time, but it's here for a good time. I also like having another fake out user that no one expects, and also a good enough, or I wouldn't say good enough, it's an okay enough Intimidator. But that's the team realistically. Not really going over much, obviously, because I want to show you guys the battles more than likely, and there might be some commentary over those, or maybe spliced commentary where I talk about certain plays that happen, of course. So this is the beginning of Thrifty Tussle, TGR, Sword and Shield, farewell. So let's get into game one, or at least match one. We face Fayak and their Barcelona Malamades, I don't know. Fayak or Fayak, I don't actually know how to say your name. Got the Malamar, the Thwackey, the Hawlucha, the Jellicent, the Butterfree, Pikachu, Growlithe, Thievul, and Galarian Stunfisk. You got these four practically coming. I think Butterfree comes and Pikachu comes. You could easily see Thievul swapped in here. I'm not really seeing Growlithe or Galarian Stunfisk, but if they come, more the better. I'm expecting these top six realistically. Rage Powder from Butterfree, Fake Out Support from Pikachu, Grassy Terrain and also Fake Out Support from Thwackey, and then Hawlucha's a Terrain Abuser and also a really decent Pokemon, and Malamar is a great support Pokemon. I could easily see Trick Room on this team, but of course if you're fighting a team like mine, I definitely have a slow Pokemon in Pincurchin and Girder and Golurk, so maybe Trick Room won't be their play, but I definitely see it happening. I definitely can see it coming. My expectations for this battle are pretty simple. Fuck it, we ball. I'm gonna probably go with a strategy that probably revolves around Rabombi, Golurk, Fletchinder, and then go from there. We might see Slurpuff this game. I don't see myself bringing Drifblim. Honestly, Drifblim gets fucked by 1, 2, 3, and 4, and possibly 5, so I don't think it'd be a good bring this game, though Icy Wind support might be lit. There is a Malamar, so I have to be careful there. Obviously, I don't see Girder coming. Girder looks okay enough here, but having Rock Slide and I guess Knockout support is cool and all, but this isn't singles, so I have to be very cautious about what I want to do with this Pokemon this game. Litten probably not coming. I don't need to give Intimidate boost to a Malamar that could be contrary, and that's really it on Pokemon. So I mean, these kind of like middle-ish 6 are looking like our main people to use this week, but we could see Girder, we could still see Drifblim, but it's very much up to the fact that I still have to really digest what I'm fighting. But that being said, let's get into the match. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started here. So basically what we're watching is me versus Fayak round 1. They had a very interesting team. Now the Hawlucha, Thwackey, and everything else, definitely scary. But that Stunfisk, you might not think is too scary right now, but it's definitely very scary. So on team preview, as you can see my items and such, basically what I want to go for is trying 2 seed modes and seeing what happens game 1 to really emphasize how I go about game 2. However, initially, since I have my Golurk and my Rabombi, I'm basically going to go ahead and go for a strategy where I just go for after you with the Golurk, or I speed swap it, essentially. Bringing the Slurpuff and Pincurchin is just in case I need Electric Terrain to help boost it. I'm kind of predicting that he leads off with Hawlucha and Thwackey first, but he leads off with Jellicent Malamar, which gives me a really good option into just going for, you know, killing his Mon so he doesn't go for Trick Room too early. So I just go for Speed Swap into Poltergeist into Jellicent, so I think Malamar is going to protect this turn. If Jellicent protects, it's completely fine, but I have a feeling that Jellicent will probably just go for Trick Room or not protect this turn. And honestly, this was a great turn 1. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This was an excellent turn 1. However, we do see Malamar protect as I predicted, and then we just get off our Speed Swap into our Poltergeisting Golurk, which does inevitably kill the Jellicent, because hell yeah it does. So we're already up 4-3. Amazing turnout here, let me tell you. So after this, essentially we see Thwackey come in. Now Thwacky's gonna go for Grassy Glide obviously against me, but you can obviously see that I get my defense boost on my Rabombi, which now allows me to go for Pollen Puff and Moonblast against the Malamar. So I just go for another Poltergeist. I just hit the Thwacky slot because it's obviously a little bit easier for me. Grassy Glide never kills me, which I know from calcs. Go over my Poltergeist. I do a good chunk of damage here as well, almost killing it. I go for Pollen Puff against Malamar, but we find out it is Focus Sash, which then allows Malamar to take out Golurk, which is unfortunate because this would have been a really good strategy, no cap. But regardless, we do lose our Golurk as we see Grassy Surge go off, and now we go into Pincurchin to get rid of it for just in case. So as we do see our Electric Surge go up, I'm predicting that he will either A, switch out, or B, just double protect. So I go for Pollen Puff on Malamar, and then I just go for, I believe I went for Sucker Punch this turn on Thwacky in case I wanted to attack, but Stunfisk comes in revealing Mimicry. Now, you're probably wondering why I said Stunfisk is going to matter a lot earlier. Well, right here, this Pokemon puts in the work, and I mean like literally the work, bro. All right, so now we can just go for Muddy Water, Rising Voltage. It really doesn't matter. Malamar's going to switch on the Thwacky so that if anything could happen, Malamar's going to be able to come back in and still get some HP. Now, of course, this does also mean that we do end up losing our Electric Terrain, which does not allow Slurpuff to go crazy. And we do kill Thwacky, we do see Flash Cannon, which Rabombi will eat, but it doesn't eat it quite well. Go for Muddy Water. I was hoping for an accuracy drop this turn, but I don't get it, unfortunately. So, with this being said, though, we now know the 4 Pokemon, obviously, after Stunfisk came out. So now Malamar, Stunfisk, and I'm basically predicting Malamar to just go ahead and protect. So I kind of just say, well, I'm gonna go for it against the Stunfisk's turn, see how much Pollen Puff does since it's in Grassy terrain. I Sucker Punch, obviously, the Malamar, go for my Pollen Puff. I do a chunk to the Stunfisk, not doing a lot while losing my Rabombi. So now it's 2-2. Excuse me. So at this point, Phyx has already seen that I have Sucker Punch, so he's gonna keep trying to attack me. Now Slurpuff can't really do too much, obviously, at least in this game, since there is that Stunfisk, which I didn't really account for all that much. I'm not gonna like cap, so let's go for Draining Kiss, and honestly, let's go for Rising Voltage because it's damage is damage, you know. So at this point, I'm kind of like, whatever. Let's see how it goes, because I learn a lot of good things through this first game that I would have never learned. So we do see the protecting on the Stunfisk, obviously, and we do see the Malamar die. The things that I learned realistically is that Jealous and Malamar indicates to me automatically Trick Room is first. What I also learned is that Stunfisk's ability is very OP, and having it with Leftovers plus Grassy Terrain is also very OP. So this section of the video, I mean, I could just fill this with dead air, honestly. You're gonna see a Stunfisk win this battle. I hate to spoil it, but we don't have much to hit this with. Once the terrain goes away, obviously, we can use water moves on it. But because my Slurpuff has Thunderbolt and not like Surf or Flamethrower or anything like that, I can't do much to this. Like, Pincurchin can only do so much, but it's like 36 invested, and I believe like Modest maybe. And that's like a really thick, goddamn, especially defensive Stunfisk. So realistically, not much is gonna happen here, but I might as well tell you guys real quick. This game taught me one really good thing, though, that all I have to do is get the Stunfisk out and about and I should be fine, or keep Golurk in the back to make sure Stunfisk actually goes away. Not keeping Golurk for like the ending kind of fucked me over, I'm not gonna lie to you, but in the end, that's, you know, it is what it is. But that much to be certain, you'll notice in game 2 how game 2 actually really goes in an interesting direction. But game 3 is where everything goes kind of awry, if you will. But let's focus on game 1, shall we? So obviously, I'm getting snap trapped like shit, and I'm basically just going for after use onto Pincurchin, so Pincurchin can go for Muddy Water. I'm getting snap trapped while it's getting Leftovers. It's a vibe, I guess you could call it. So it is what it is, you know. Unfortunately, Pincurchin does miss, and we do get Earth Power to hell and back. We don't die, thankfully, and we eat our Citrus Berry, so now we're in range of another Earth Power. And essentially, like, Slurpuff can definitely just die at any point in time to a Flash Cannon. So I kind of have the wise-ass idea to just go for a Calm Mind or a Draining Kiss, because I'm like, well, something has to go right. And instead, I go for After You. Because why not go for After You? It's a protecting Stunfisk, of course. I should have gone for Calm Mind just so I can Draining Kiss afterwards just to get as much health as I can back, which unfortunately we don't do. And as you can see, Slurpuff is just slowly but surely dying, and of course Pincurchin can do nothing to help us here, which is unfortunate, you know. But with that out of the way, obviously, You know, it's just it's just a game of just, man, I could have done better here, obviously. I definitely should have brought a better move on Slurpuff, but I imagine Thunderbolt was going to be more useful given the matchup and just in general having the electric terrain boost as well. But I was not expecting Stunfisk to play this big of a part in game one, but you know, it is what it is. So with that being said though, we're about to move on to game two, and my notes really just say, make sure Stunfisk dies first. And that's really all it says, because that's all I can really do in that regard. But we do end up dying here. Of course, the flash cannon, despite getting back a little bit of health, you know. I should have been just combining between protects and then draining kissing, but it happens. So we do move on to the next game. So with this game, I am automatically going electric terrain first, then Golurk and Fletchinder in the back. But then I'm like, you know what? This does not seem right. Why would I bring Fletchinder to this game? You know, Fletchinder's cool. Fletchinder's a fine Pokemon, but it's terrible here. So I go Rabombi instead, like a smart man. And now we're into game two. Now game two, I was like, fuck it. This electric seed stuff, this is going off. So he leads with his grassy seed combo. I leave my electric seed combo. So obviously everyone gets their shit off. You know, Hawlucha gets its boost. I get my boost. Everything is going millhouse right now. But I get to keep my terrain. You see, there's a big ass difference there. So, obviously, this means war. So, I obviously know that I'm going to get faked out or something. So, I decide willingly, I'm like, you know, I'm going to let it happen. I'm going to just rising voltage. I'm going to double into Hawlucha slot and see what happens. So, what ends up happening is Thwackey fakes up Incursion. We see the SD on the Hawlucha, and I'm like, oh, great. So, I just Draining Kiss that. Finding out that it has Swords Dance, but also finding out that I am just like not that invested. It's probably not great for me, but it's all good. So, as far as I understand, I can just Rising Voltage to Hawlucha now. I don't really give a shit. So Thwackey switches out. Pikachu gets switched in. This tells me, oh, he's just going to fake out spam here, right? Because that's what you do here. So obviously Lightning Rod procs, and that's, I guess, all right. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to just go ahead and go for DK and get this Hawlucha out of here. Or I could switch, but I was like, DK. So now I'm going to also protect Pincurchin because I'm getting faked out again. No reason for Slurpuff to get faked out here, I felt like, so I was like, whatever. So we do see an Iron Head. We do live that phenomenally, and we don't get flinched. So then we get off our Draining Kiss, and the Hawlucha almost dies. So at this point in time, I'm probably just like, you know what? I'm going to Draining Kiss the Pikachu and Sucker Punch Hawlucha, because you know what? The Hawlucha is not protecting this turn, and if it does, it does. So it protects this turn. So now that tells me that he is definitely going to go for the aforementioned SD, because that makes the most amount of sense. As we see Volt Tackle from Pikachu, however, we do notice our health just drops. So I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna just Draining Kiss. I'm like, I might as well, because the Hawlucha's gonna SD here, knowing I'm gonna Sucker Punch it. But I Sucker Punch the Pikachu instead to make sure I get a double KO, which actually works out really well for me. I'm really glad I called out this turn, because it honestly is definitely the turning point of game two for me. Because now we're up 4-2. There is a Thwackey in the back, and we don't know what else is there. But I kind of assume that we might see Malamar Jellicent again. So we do see Thwackey come out, but it's Stunfisk, this dumb motherfucker. This time, however, I have Golurk in the back, and that's important. So I'm basically playing the long game of letting these two die before anything else, just so I can go ahead and have Golurk in the back, speed swap, and dust this motherfucking Stunfisk. So that's what I want to do. Excuse me. So then I decided, I'm like, well, I might as well start Muddy Watering, and I'm going to get Grassy Glid, which, I mean, Slurpuff will always live that. A Draining Kiss just to get a little damage off. Gives me a little bit of health, obviously, but I do almost, well, no, I do lose my Slurpuff, excuse me. I thought I was +1, but I was not, so I Muddy Water. And here comes the hacks. Here comes the hacks. So crit on Thwackey and a double accuracy drop. So I feel bad for that Fyac, but it was very necessary for me to win, at least this game. So there's that. So, you know, what happened. So I go into Rabombi here knowing I get my Grassy Seed boost, and also because both of these mons are weak to my goddamn Pollen Puff. And that's very important to note. Very, very important. I decided to go Golurk thinking that I was safe. Spoiler alert, we were not safe. I get fucking Grassy Glided to hell and back on my Golurk. I Pollen Puff the Thwackey, almost killing it, and then we see Earth Power on the Golurk, therefore killing Golurk. This is why you make better decisions when you protect, because then at least you get to see what's going to happen. But with that being said, we're kind of just stuck. Not really, but we are kind of stuck. But now that he's electric type again, at least that gives me neutral damage on it with Moonblast. Obviously, I would like to keep it being like super effective with Pollen Puff, but it happens. So now at this point, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just go ahead and hit the Stunfisk, or maybe we just go for a different attack. I'm kind of just like whatever. So I go for the Stunfisk, and then I just go for Muddy Water because it's honestly the best decision I can make here. Thwackey does go for Protect, which is amazing for us here. Getting off our Moonblast on this is checks damage. We obviously see Spidef. We see a Spatak drop, which is amazing because we don't have Flash Cannon. So obviously our Muddy Water pops. And we hit the Stunfisk and lower its accuracy one more time. So that's pretty bad for them, but you know, it is what it is. While I'm being snap trapped, I'm like, whatever, fine. I can just kill the Thwackey now. That's the most obvious decision here. Well, I just maintain that, go for Muddy Water, get single target damage off. And this basically wraps up the game at this point. Rabombi is enough of a demon to actually beat this Pokemon, and we obviously avoid Earth Power, so we do have hacks on our side, plus just being able to hit this Pokemon for good damage, and that really does wrap up the game after that Earth Power miss. Because without that Earth Power miss, essentially, Pincurchin probably has a chance to die, at very least, and at least the Stunfisk can definitely try and wage war with the Rabombi. I wouldn't recommend it, but it can definitely work out in his favor. So with that being said, though, a great game 2 teaches me a lot about what I should and shouldn't lead. I could have easily led the Golurk way, but I feel like there's a lot to be said about what I could and should have and what I didn't do. I get another Spatak drop, another Earth Power miss, and Muddy Water cleans up the... Oh, well, no, it doesn't. Well, you're going to see basically Rabombi clean up because Fiat kind of figures there's no other way to get out of this. Especially after the Stitches Berry proc, I'm kind of just like, I'm going to give it to Pincurchin, because why not? Pincurchin deserves it after all it's gone through. Shout out to my boy. He finally hits an Earth Power. Doesn't do that much because he's obviously -2. And we pick up the Game 2 victory. So, it's down to Game 3. What's going to happen? I don't know. Yes, I'm recording these in parts, you dumbass. All right, so Game 3, right? You don't get to see what I selected, and I mistakenly did that, but I think it's for the better. Leads off with Thwackey Stunfisk. Now you're seeing on your screen what is a Fletchinder. This is by far the worst decision I could have made. And here's why. Did you know that the grassy terrain bullshittery that comes with the grassy glide and the fake out and everything else, the little shitter over there, goes before my Fletchinder? Yup. Didn't know that. Just didn't. Thought I'd be able to get off my Gale Wings. Nah, I just get faked out. It's awful. I go for Phantom Force, obviously, with Golurk to make sure that I'm intangible / I can't be hurt, which is actually amazing if you ask me. But unfortunately, that part's not amazing. But also the other part's not amazing is I have no guard, which means this interaction is funny. And that's unfortunate. So now I'm kind of like, all right, whatever, dude. Maybe I'll still be able to get this off, right? I'll be able to U-turn. This will be a breeze. Avery's totally forgot that he's a Fletchinder. Why did I go for U-turn and not just switch out or do something else? We see Hawlucha come in, completely fine, mind you. I should have just hit it with like dual wing beat or something. We see Stunfisk go for Protect. Obviously, I'm trying to do a wing beat, and then I get off my Phantom Force, do a lot of damage to the Stunfisk, which is amazing. So obviously here, I should, right, still go for Phantom Force, but I should also switch out Fletchinder here because there's a faster Pokemon on the field known as Hawlucha. I stay in to Tailwind because I think that's a great decision. Obviously, you're going to see my Fletchinder die, and yeah, I don't really have any explanation for why I did this. We see Fiax switch out of Stunfisk into Thwackey again, as we see the Acrobatics kill my Fletchinder. I guess being Flame Body and maybe Eviolite would have been better, but I wasn't. And that's unfortunate. And then you might see that guy, Mr. Mime. Yup, I brought another Pokemon I shouldn't have brought to this is Mr. Mime. I guess I should have made that Evil. I'm like Fletchinder Evil. I said Mr. Mime. Maybe Mr. Mime could have been like Scarf or something, but I kind of just brought it because I felt like it'd be a little bit better to try something different. It was not. I should have brought Electric Terrain because now basically Hawlucha doesn't actually kill me with Acrobatics unless it's Fake Out into Acrobatics. So now Fake Out into Acrobatics. But I lived on 2, which is amazing. So I almost pick up a kill, obviously, and I go for Phantom Force on Thwackey, which still does a lot of damage, honestly. And here's why I know this. I calced it so that I never die to Acrobatics after my Grassy Seed boost. just, you know, Incog 101. This is going to result in a double KO though, so don't even worry about what I just said. It doesn't matter. We're dead. And we do end up losing this game, unfortunately, given these circumstances, obviously. I'm not going to lie to you. Bringing Fletchender was the biggest mistake. I just feel like had I played that any better, or if I had Protect on Fletchender, it wouldn't have been that bad. But it is what it is. Mr. Mime kind of just chills out the rest of this game. Sorry for the bad pun. Was not my intention. I just kind of go for fake out, but then I'm like, I'm gonna just ice beam something, get something out of here. Obviously Thwacky switches out into Pikachu. We do see the Hawlucha go for Protect this turn as I just lay into the Pikachu. Get a great amount of damage there. I'm just kind of just firing off shots to see if I don't get swept, but we do see the Iron Head not kill Mr. Mime because we are EV Light, but we get flinched, so we basically got 4-0'd, which, hey, at the end of the day, it is what it is. GG to Fyak. I wasn't expecting this to be like a first round exit, but things happen. Haven't played VGC in a while. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys liked it, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and check me out on the TGR next season.